So good morning children. Today we are going to start you the chapter. I am going to start you the chapter 3, ruling the countryside. Right, the new chapter for you, the ruling the countryside. Right, here you can see the company becomes the Diwan. Already you know the company has controlled all over the India, and now the company becomes the supreme power here. Let us see. On 12th August 1765, the Mughal Emperor appointed the East India Company as the Diwan of Bengal. So what happened? On 12th August 1765, the Mughal Emperor appointed whom? East India Company as the Diwan of the Bengal. Here you can see he is appointing them as the Diwan of the Bengal. The actual event most probably took place in Robert Clive's tent. So here he is the Robert Clive. In his era it had happened, right? With a few Englishmen and Indians as the witness. You can see here with few Indians and few Englishmen as the witness. The Nawab of Bengal, he declared the East India Company as the Diwan of Bengal. But in the painting above, the event is shown as a majestic occasion taking place in a grand setting. The painter was commissioned by Clive to record the memorable events in Clive's life. So here the painter is called to record this, as the Robert Clive was very much interested in paintings and all. He wanted to capture all the memories which had happened in his life. So he commissioned what he called the painter to record all the memorable events. The grant of Diwani clearly was one such event in British imagination. So in British imagination, it was one such big event which had taken place. Here, the Nawab of Bengal gave up the East India Company on 12th August 1765. He made East India Company as the Diwan of Bengal. Right, as Diwan, the company became the chief financial administrator of the territory under its control. Yes, when you have given all the rights to them, Diwani rights to them, then what will happen? Who is going to control the finance? The financial control is completely taken over by whom? By the English East India Company. Now it had to think of administering the land and organizing its revenue resources. Now what it is planning? When it has got all the financial things in its hand, all the financial rights in its hand, now it is planning to take up what? Land resources also. Chief administration of its territory under its control. Now it had to think of administering the land and organizing its revenue, because from where the tax was coming, from where the money was coming, it was coming from the land. So what it planned? Now it has planned to take the land resources under its control, because it can collect the taxes from the farmers. This had to be done in a way that could yield enough revenue to meet the growing expenses of the company. So it had done in order to meet the growing expenditure. What the company was doing to meet those expenditures, the company had planned that it will collect the revenue on behalf of the king. It is going to collect the revenue, and where that revenue is going to go? It is going to go with the East India Company. A trading company had also to ensure that it could buy the products it needed and sell what it wanted. So trading companies also has to ensure that it could buy the products it needed. It could only buy the products it needed and sell what it wanted. So all the trading companies had to buy the goods and services and has to sell the goods and services what the East India Company was telling to do it. This is how our Indian industries came to the end. The Indian traders lost their business things, small scale industries all in India slowly got closed down because of these acts and all. Because of these things it started closing down. Over the years the company also learnt that it had to move with some certain caution. Being an alien power, it needed to pacify those who in the past had ruled the countryside and enjoyed authority and prestige. Those who had led local power had to be controlled, but they could not be entirely eliminated. So what is company is planning, that they want alien power. They want one power which could control, which had controlled in the past countryside and which had the enjoyed authority and prestige, that this wants to control. Instead of eliminating them completely from the area or from the region, what it planned that it should control them. How was this to be done? In this chapter we will see how the company came to colonize the countryside, organize revenue resources, redefine the rights of people and produce the crops it wanted. See here, how was this to be done? How it can be done? Right, it wanted to colonize the whole countryside. It wanted to make the colonies. Right, how you are having Sidrameshwar colony, Maharaj colony, Shivaji circle, Gandhi circle, like that in those times it had planned, it wanted to make a colony. Mudhol, one colony under the British rule. Jamkhandi, one colony under the British rule. Like that it went on making the colonies, and what it wanted to organize the revenue resources, and it wanted to redefine the rights of the people and produce the crops what it wanted to produce. What the company wanted to produce, those crops only the Britishers were made to produce, not the crops which they wanted, which the farmers wanted to produce, not those crops which the Britishers wanted them to produce. Those crops only it has to produce. Revenue for the company. The company had become the Diwan, but it still saw itself primarily as a trader. So, the company after becoming the Diwan, it said that it still saw itself primarily as a trader. First, what it was seeing itself as a trader. Trader means who? The person who sells, buying and selling of the goods and services is called a trader. Trade, and the person who does it, he is called as the trader. So first company was thinking of its business, means it has to make profit from the trade. So in that way it was setting up all the things. It was in that way it was setting up all the resources. It was organizing all the resources. It was telling the farmers to grow such crops which will bring profit for whom? For the English East India Company. Those crops were, the farmers were forced to grow those crops which were making profit for whom? For the English East India Company. Not for India, but for Indian farmers, but for the company. Let us see, it wanted a large revenue income but was unwilling to set up any regular system of assessment and collection. See, it was making large revenue income from where? From the crops grown by our farmers. And it was not telling that, it was unwilling to telling that this is the system of collection of revenue. Tax hangri, now we got the 5% tax kartivu ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿ ನಮ್ದು ಗೌರ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ನಾಗ ಐತಿ. ಇಂಡಿಯನ್ ಗೌರ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಫಿಕ್ಸೇಷನ್ ಮಾಡೈತಿ 5% ನಿಮ್ಮ ಇನ್ಕಮ್ ದಾಗ ನೀವು ಟ್ಯಾಕ್ಸ್ ಕಟ್ರಿ ಅಂತ. ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಹಾಗಿಲ್ಲ, ದೇ ಕ್ಯಾನ್ ಫಿಕ್ಸ್ ಎನಿ tax rate as they want. This month 5% tax, next month 10% tax, 20% tax. Like that they were fixing, making the tax collections. That type they were making the rules and regulations. The effort was to increase the revenue as much as it could and buy fine cotton and silk cloth as cheaply as possible. See here, the British government was purchasing the cotton and the silk at a cheaper rates in India from Indian farmers, and it was selling to the European countries at very higher rates. For example, now one cotton bag, it was to take, they used to purchase it, what? For a 10 rupees kg, and it was selling 100 rupees kg in the European market. So how much profit it was making? Around 90 rupees profit it was making. So like that, how cunning fox these Britishers are. Can you just imagine? Can you just see this? In those days they were exploiting our farmers like anything. They were purchasing the goods and services which our farmers were growing at a very lower rates, and they were selling the same goods and services to the European countries at a very higher rates. Within 5 years, the value of goods bought by the company in Bengal doubled. See here, the value of the goods that were bringing from the Bengal, that got doubled. Before 1865, the company had purchased goods in India by importing gold and silver from Britain. Now, the revenue collected in Bengal could finance the purchase of goods for export. See here, by importing gold and silver from India, they were purchasing the goods and services. Now what they did, they told that, Britishers told that, now they collected revenue from Bengal and they could finance that one for the goods which they were exporting. So all their export charges should be borne by whom? By the Indians only, especially Bengal. Right, Nawab of Bengal should bear all those export charges. Soon it was clear that Bengal economy was facing a deep crisis. Yes, this is how the Bengal state became poor, because it has to finance all the expenditures of the British. Is it possible? ನಿಮ್ಮ ಮನ್ಯಾಗ 10 ಮಂದಿದು ನೀವೇನೋ ಒಂದು ನಡೆಸಿರಪ್ಪ ವೆಚ್ಚಗಳನ್ನ ಭರಿಸ್ತಿದ್ರಂದ್ರೆ 20 ಮಂದಿ ಬಂದ್ರಂದ್ರೆ ಎಲ್ಲ ಅವ್ರದ್ದೆಲ್ಲ ಕಾಸ್ಟ್ ನೀವು ಭರಿಸ್ಬೇಕಂದ್ರೆ do you become rich or poor? You become poor. Same was the case of the Bengal. Soon it was clear that the Bengal economy was facing a deep crisis. Artisans were deserting villages since they were being forced to sell their goods to the company at low prices. So what happened? The Bengal started facing the deep crisis. Artisans were deserting villages, means they started moving back from the villages. Villages became the deserts because all their goods and services, artisans, whatever the pots they were making, whatever the utensils they were making, whatever the craft work they were making, Britishers forced them to purchase those goods and services at a lower price, and they were exporting those goods and services to higher price in the other countries, European countries. Peasants were unable to pay the dues that were being demanded from them. So farmers were unable to pay the dues. Pay the dues means whatever the things, whatever the cost which was remaining, whatever the things were remaining, they were unable to pay, because what happened? They were charging higher rate of tax from them. So the farmers were unable to pay those taxes. Artisanal production was in decline. So artisanal production became in decline. Our all craft work, it went down. And agricultural cultivation showed signs of collapse. What about our agricultural cultivation? It had gone to the collapse. Collapse means completely ruined down. Then in 1770, a terrible famine killed 10 million people in Bengal. About 1/3 of the population was wiped out. You can see in the photo, all the people are moving from one place to the other place. Here there is a market. The so nice market was there, but all was vanished. ruling the countryside. Here you can see all that gone. A weak market in Murshidabad in Bengal. Peasants and artisans from rural areas regularly came to these weekly markets, haats, to sell their goods and buy what they needed. These markets were badly affected during the times of economic crisis. You can see here the picture of the market. So nice. People are so happy here. They were selling the goods and services they had brought, and they were purchasing the goods and services what they needed, and they were moving back to their villages. All were so happy. But when these British people came to India and they started exploiting the Indian farmers, artisans, peasants of our India, then what happened? They were forced to leave back their villages. They were forced to move from their villages. Deserting the villages, they moved to the another areas. Then what happened? In 1770 there was a terrible famine. That what happened? That killed 10 million people in Bengal. About 1/3 of the population was wiped out. 1/3 of the population died during this famine crisis. The need to improve agriculture. So let us see the next. What was there? There was a need to improve agriculture. If the economy was in ruins, could the company be certain of its revenue income? Most company officials began to feel that investment in land had to be encouraged and agriculture had to be improved. Now the company is feeling that we need to improve the agriculture, because from that only they were getting high income. Now they wanted to improve the agriculture. How was this to be done? After 2 decades of debate on the question, the company finally introduced the permanent settlement in 1793. It brought an act called the Permanent Settlement in 1793. By the terms of settlement, the Rajas and Talukadars were reorganized as Jamindars. Here the Rajas, the kings, and the Talukadars, they were reorganized as the Zamindars. They were asked to collect the rent from the peasants and pay revenue to the company. Here the zamindars were asked to collect the rent from the farmers, and what they had to do? They had to repay it to the company. Right, let us see how they had done it. The amount was to be paid was fixed permanently. That is, it was not to be increased ever in future. See here, now they said that whatever the farmers were growing, that for that now they fixed a permanent revenue, permanent tax collection. This much only we have to collect the tax, and it is not going to change. It is going to remain there permanently. Right, it was felt that would ensure a regular flow of revenue into the company's coffers, and at the same time encourage the zamindars to invest in improving the land. So what it will happen? It will make the zamindars will encourage the people to do the irrigation, and it will be helpful in increase the revenue of the farmers. Revenue of the farmers will increase. They will pay tax to the company. It was felt that it would ensure a regular flow of revenue. Not only revenue, it will show a regular flow of revenue to the company's coffers. Coffers means accounts, company's tijori. Right, and at the same time encourage the zamindars to invest in improving the land. So it will encourage the zamindars to invest more and more in the land. They will give the loans for the people, right, and the people can go there and they can do the irrigation and they can earn the revenue. Since the revenue demand of the state would not be increased, the zamindar would benefit from increased production from the land. So what happens? Since the revenue demand of the state would not be increased, revenue demand will not be increased, so zamindars would be benefited from increased production of the land. If there is an increase in the production from the land, then who will be benefited? The zamindars will be benefited. So if the zamindars will be benefited, what they will do? They will do more and more irrigation, and they will definitely pay taxes to the company. The problem, what was the problem? After bringing such solutions also, there were some problems. Let us see what is the problem. The permanent settlement, however, created problems. See here, the permanent settlement, however, it also created the problems. Company officials soon discovered that zamindars were in fact not investing in the improvement of land. Here you can see that the zamindars were in fact not investing in the improvement of land. They were not investing in the improvement of the land. The revenue that had been fixed was so high that the zamindars found it difficulty to pay. Yes, whatever the zamindars whatever they had told, the company had told them to pay the tax, it was so high that the zamindars were finding it too difficult to pay. Anyone who failed to pay the revenue lost his zamindari. See here, they lost his zamindari. To become the zamindar, it is a high position in the village. They have to lose their zamindari position. So what were the problems? First problem was they had the zamindars were not concentrating on the improvement of the land. First problem. Second problem, that the tax amount was so much high, the zamindars were unable to pay. And third one, if they were unable to pay, their zamindari was removed from them. Numerous zamindars were sold off at auctions organized by the company. So company organized the auctions and so many zamindars were sold in that auction. By the first decade of the 19th century, the situation changed. So by the first of the 19th century, what happened? The situation had changed. The prices in the market rose and cultivation slowly expanded. What happened? The prices in the market were increasing. So what happened? The cultivation of the crops slowly expanded. This meant an increase in the income of the zamindars, but no gain for the company. The prices in the market rose, so their cultivation slowly expanded. This meant an increase in income of the zamindars. Zamindars were gaining the income. But what happened? The company was not collecting more revenue. It has to collect the fixed revenue. So there was no any increase in the revenue demand. That because it had been fixed permanently. In the first decade of 19th century, what happened? The prices in the market rise. So zamindars were happy. Zamindars were getting the land, more revenue from the land. But this company cannot collect the revenue from the zamindars. They cannot collect more revenue because already they have fixed the revenue and made it as a permanent revenue collection. Even then, the zamindars did not have an interest in improving the land. Some had lost their lands in the earlier years of settlement. So now zamindars had lost the interest in improving the land. Since many of the zamindars had lost their land in the earlier settlements, others now saw the possibility of earning without the trouble and risk of investment. Others thought that now without any risk of investment and all, we can gain the revenue. As long as the zamindars could give out the land to tenants and get rent, they were not interested in improving the land. So what they did, they start giving the land to the tenants and they were not at all interested in improving the land. ಇವ್ರೇನು ಮಾಡಿದ್ರಿ ಜಮೀನ್ದಾರ್ಸ ಮತ್ತೊಬ್ರಿಗೆ ಏನು ಮಾಡಿದ್ರು, ಹೊಲ ಮಾಡಕ್ಕೆ ಕೊಟ್ಬಿಟ್ರು. ಹೊಲ ಮಾಡೋರು ಅವ್ರಿಗೇನಂತೀವಿ ನಾವು ಟೀನೆಂಟ್ಸ್ ಅಂತೀವಿ. ಅವ್ರಿಗೆ ಹೊಲ ಮಾಡಕ್ಕೆ ಕೊಟ್ಟರು. ಅವ್ರಂತ್ರ ಇಷ್ಟು ಬಾಡಿಗೆ ಅಂಥೇಳಿ ವಸೂಲಿ ಮಾಡಾಕತ್ರಿ. ಇವ್ರು ಅಷ್ಟು ಬಾಡಿಗೆ ಇವರು ಯಾರಿಗೆ ಕೊಡ್ಬೇಕ್ರಿ? ಕಂಪ್ನಿಗೆ ಕೊಡ್ಬೇಕಲ್ಲ, ಅಷ್ಟು ಬಾಡಿಗೆ ಮತ್ತು ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ ತಮಗೆ ಏನೇನು ಬೇಕು ಲಾಭ ಅದನ್ನಷ್ಟು ಇಟ್ಕೊಂಡು ಫಿಕ್ಸ್ ಮಾಡಿಕೊಂಡು ಟೀನೆಂಟ್ಸಿಗೆ ಕೊಡ್ಲಿಕ್ಕೆ ಹತ್ಬಿಟ್ರು. ಬಾಡಿಗೆ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಮಾಡೋರು, ಹೊಲ ಮಾಡೋರಿಗೆ ಕೊಡಾಕತ್ರು. ದೇ ವರ್ ನಾಟ್ ಇಂಟ್ರೆಸ್ಟೆಡ್. ಆ ಲ್ಯಾಂಡ್ ಇಂಪ್ರೂವ್ ಮಾಡಬೇಕು, ಚಲೋ ತನಕ ಬೆಳಿಬೇಕು, ಅದನ್ನೆಲ್ಲ ಇಂಟ್ರೆಸ್ಟನ್ನು ಅವ್ರೇನು ಮಾಡಿದ್ರಿ, ಕಳ್ಕೊಂಡು ಬಿಟ್ಟಿದ್ರು. ದೇ ಹ್ಯಾಡ್ ನೋ ಇಂಟ್ರೆಸ್ಟ್ ಇನ್ ಡೂಯಿಂಗ್ ಆಲ್ ದ ಥಿಂಗ್ಸ್. ದ ಕಂಪನಿ ಹ್ಯಾಡ್ ಲಾಸ್ಟ್ ಆಲ್ಮೋಸ್ಟ್ ಆಲ್ ದ ಇಂಟ್ರೆಸ್ಟ್ in improving the lands. On the other hand, in the villages, the cultivator found the system system extremely oppressive. The rent he paid to the zamindars was high and his right on the land was insecure. As I have already told you, on the other hand, in villages, the cultivator who was cultivating the land of zamindar found it extremely oppressive. He was not happy. He was not happy with the cultivation of the land which was given by the zamindars to him, because he has to pay rent to the zamindar and there was no right of his on that land. So what he found that job was insecure. The zamindar may remove him on one or the other day, he may remove him from that place, from that job. That time what that farmer has to do? He find his job very insecure. To pay the rent, he had to often take a loan from the money lender. Yes, this became also a problem. Whenever he wanted to take a loan, he has to take it from the money lender. And when he failed to pay the rent, he had evicted from the land he had cultivated for generations. So what happened? In order to pay the rent to the zamindars, what he has to take? He has to take loan from the money lenders. When he was unable to pay the rent to the zamindars, that time he has to evacate. Evacate means he has to leave that land which his ancestors had worked in that land. For generations they were working on the same land. So this also became a new problem. A new system is devised. So let us see, after this they devised a new system. By the early 19th century, many of the company officials were convinced that the system of revenue had to be changed again. Now they brought a new system of revenue. They thought that yes, now revenue should be compulsorily changed, right? Because it is creating lot of problems. We gave it to the zamindars. Zamindars were unable to pay the revenues, unable to maintain. They were not investing in the improvement of the land, right? They found it difficult to pay also. Some zamindars lost their zamindari rights. And what did the zamindars did? They appointed the tenants, they gave them the land, they told them to take care of the land, and they had to pay, the tenants had to pay rent to the zamindar. So these were all the problems which was happening. So they devised a new system. By the early 19th century, many of the company officials were convinced that the system of revenue had to be changed again. How could revenues be fixed permanently at a time when the company needed more money to meet its expenses of administration and trade? So to meet its expenses of administration and trade, how should the company collect the revenue from the farmers or from the zamindars? In the northwestern provinces of Bengal Presidency, most of this area is now in Uttar Pradesh. An Englishman called Holt Mackenzie devised the new system which came into effect in 1882. Underline it. It is the most important line. Right, in the northwestern provinces of Bengal Presidency, most of this area, now it is in Uttar Pradesh. An Englishman came called Holt Mackenzie. What he said? He devised a new system which came into effect in 1882. He felt that the village was an important social institution in the North Indian society and needed to be preserved. He said that the North Indian society, which consists of the village, was an important social institution and it should be preserved, right? How you preserve the money, how you preserve the old buildings and all, architectures, like that. This society, village society, is an institution which should be preserved. Let us see what it was. Under his directions, collectors went from village to village, inspecting the land, measuring the fields, and recording the customs and rights of the different groups. So what they did, they started surveying, they started inspecting the land, measuring the fields, how much it is area wise, and recording the customs and rights of the different groups. Let us see. The estimated revenue of each plot within a village was added up and to calculate the revenue that each village mahal had to pay. Now according to that, they estimated the revenue of each plot area wise, they estimated that how much revenue each plot should need to pay, to whom mahal village had to pay. This demand was to be revised periodically, not permanently fixed. So every year this is going to be revised, this is going to be changed. It is not a permanent one. Every year it is going to change. The charge of collecting the revenue and paying it to the company was given to the village headman rather than the zamindar. So now the zamindar had lost the collecting the revenue. It was given to whom? The village headman was given the right to collect the revenue rather than the zamindar. This system came to be known as the Mahalwari settlement. How what this system came to be known now? Now this system came to be known as the Mahalwari system. Let us see the Munro system. Next system came, that is called the Munro system. In the British territories in the south, there was a similar move away from the idea of permanent settlement. So from the idea of permanent settlement, there were other similar ways also. Let us see what are they. The new system that was devised came to be known as Royat War or Royat Wari system. So you have seen zamindari system was over. Next came Mahalwari settlement. After that now another came the Munro system. In that it was Royat Wari. Let us see. It was tried on a small scale by Captain Alexander. Read in some of the areas that were taken over by the company after the wars with Tippu Sultan, subsequently developed by Thomas Munro. This system was gradually extended all over South India. So what happened? You have read that in the last chapter that the Tippu Sultan was defeated and his lands all in the South India were taken by the British government. So that Captain Alexander, he read in some of the areas and he took over the company after the wars with Tippu Sultan. Subsequently it was developed by whom? By the Thomas Munro. All the areas which he had taken from the Tippu Sultan were developed by whom? By the Thomas Munro. This system was gradually extended all over South India. So this system got gradual extension in all over the South India. Red and Munro felt that in South there were no traditional zamindars. What they felt that in the South India there are no any traditional zamindars. Traditional means old zamindars are not at all there. The settlement, they argued, had to be made directly with the cultivators. Now what the settlements, whatever they have to make, directly they have to make with the cultivators of the land, means the farmers. They have to make the cultivators of the land. With them only they have to make the settlements. For them they called them as the royats. They who had tilled the land for generations, who had been taking the care of the land for generations. Now we have to make settlements with whom? With those people only, with the farmers directly. In the zamindari system, they made settlements with the zamindars, right? In the Mahalwari systems, they made the settlements with the village headman. And in this Munro systems, they came to conclusion that now we have to make the settlements with whom? We have to make discussions with whom? We have to make agreements with whom? Directly with the cultivators of the land. No any middleman. Directly will make settlement with whom? With the cultivators of the land itself. For them they called them as the ryots. Red and Munro came to the decision that we will make direct settlement with the ryots, the persons who had tilled the land for generations. Their fields had to be carefully and separately surveyed before the revenue assessment was made. So what they came to conclusion that their fields had to be carefully and separately surveyed. They have to be carefully seen and they have to be carefully separately surveyed before revenue assessment was made. Before collecting the revenue, what they have to make they have to clearly make the assessment. They have to fix the revenue before what? Before starting for the cultivation, before making the fixing the taxes based on the land. Munro thought that the British should act as a paternal father figures protecting the ryots under their charge. So what Munro thought that the Britishers had to act their godfathers and they have to take care of the farmers and they have to protect the farmers under their charge. So they have to give them education how to cultivate and how to make the land more fertile and how to increase the production of the crop. Next one, all was not well. All was not well. Within a few years after the new systems were imposed, it was clear that all was not well with them. Driven by the desire to increase the income from land revenue, officials fixed too high a revenue demand. Peasants were unable to pay. Riots fled the countryside and villages became deserted in many regions. So all was not well. In order to increase the production of the land, in order to increase the income of the British people, in order to increase the revenue, the officials were fixing too high revenue for the farmers. ಕೊಡ್ತೀರೇನ್ರಿ ಹೆಚ್ಚು ಟ್ಯಾಕ್ಸನ್ನು ಮಾಡಕತ್ರು, ಇನ್ಕಮ್ ಇಲ್ಲ, ಟ್ಯಾಕ್ಸ ಹೆಚ್ಚೈತಂದ್ರೆ ಎನಿ ಫಾರ್ಮರ್ ವಿಲ್ ಡೆಫಿನೆಟ್ಲಿ ಪೇ. Can he pay? What happened here? People started deserting the villages. People started moving out of the villages. They started moving the countryside. ದೇಶನ ಬಿಟ್ಟು ಹೋಗೋ ಪರಿಸ್ಥಿತಿಗೆ ರೈತರು ಬಂದುಬಿಟ್ರು. They were feeling unhelped. They were feeling unsafe in India. They started feeling that we are not protected by here. We are exploited by the British people. Right? The officials were demanding very high rate of very high revenues. High collection of taxes was done by the British officials. This made the people to emigrate, to move different places of the country because they were unable to pay. The villages were deserted. ಹೆಂಗಾದು ರೀ, ಮರುಭೂಮಿಗತ್ಲೆ ಅದು. ಜನ ಇಲ್ಲ, ಜಂಗುಳಿಲ್ಲ, ಪಕ್ಷಿ ಇಲ್ಲ, ಪ್ರಾಣಿಗಳಿಲ್ಲ, ಏನೂ ಇಲ್ಲ. ಎಲ್ಲರೂ ಏನು ಮಾಡಾಕತ್ರಿ, ಊರು ಬಿಟ್ಟು ಹೋಗ್ಲಿಕ್ಕತ್ರು. ಯಾಕಂದ್ರೆ ಇವರು ಟ್ಯಾಕ್ಸ್ ಸಿಕ್ಕಾಪಟ್ಟೆ ಹೈ ಕಲೆಕ್ಟ್ ಮಾಡ್ಲಾಕತ್ತ ತಕ್ಷಣ ದೇ ಸ್ಟಾರ್ಟೆಡ್ ಮೂವಿಂಗ್ ಟು ದ ಅದರ್ ವಿಲೇಜಸ್. ದೇ ಸ್ಟಾರ್ಟೆಡ್ ಮೂವಿಂಗ್ ಟು ದ ಅದರ್ ಪ್ಲೇಸಸ್ ವೇರ್ ದೇ ಕ್ಯಾನ್ lead the life peacefully. Optimistic officials had imagined that the new systems would transform the peasants into rich enterprising farmers, but this did not happen. They thought that by this system they will make them farmers rich. They will make them high yielding farmers. They will make them rich enterprising farmers. But this did not happen. Why this did not happen? Because what happened? The farmers were